Welcome back. Today, we're jumping right into a brilliant DIY gardening hack from a blogger named Ang. We're going to break down exactly how to protect your garden from the elements using some seriously clever problem solving. It's a fantastic explainer, so let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Are your plants surviving the wind? I mean, if you're a dedicated gardener, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about here. Have you ever walked out into your yard or maybe onto your balcony right after a heavy storm and just felt that immediate sinking heartbreak? You know the exact feeling. Finding a beloved, carefully tended potted plant just completely tipped over. Soil is spilled absolutely everywhere and the plant itself is totally damaged by the harsh weather. Oh man, it is a terrible, frustrating experience, and it can literally undo months of hard work in seconds.
Section 1. The high wind problem.
So Ang specifically talks about aggressive high winds in tropical weather. And I honestly love this phrasing because it just perfectly captures the threat. We aren't just talking about a gentle, refreshing summer breeze that rustles the leaves here. No, we're treating this tropical weather like a menacing antagonist. These winds are a persistent, physical force that's actively working against the peaceful, curated environment of our gardens. They're the direct culprit, causing our pots to topple over and ultimately trashing the plants we work so meticulously to grow.
Section 2. Why traditional pots fail. So why do our normal pots keep letting us down? Well, traditional setups basically have three fatal flaws: taller plants, small bases on standard plastic pots, and high drainage potting mixes. When you combine these three factors, you're creating a setup that is simply inadequate. Honestly, it's practically built to tip over. Just think about the physics for a second. A taller plant acts almost like a giant sail catching those aggressive winds, right? Now, when that top-heavy force is paired with a pot that has a tiny little base footprint and you filled it with a high drainage mix, which, tends to be much lighter and less dense, your center of gravity is completely compromised. It is a structural nightmare just waiting for a gust of wind to knock it completely flat.
Now, Ang is a proactive gardener, so the initial temporary fix was to use larger but shorter pots and then add heavy substrates to the base. And hey, this makes perfect logical sense. You lower the vertical profile of the pot and you pack heavy substrates at the bottom to physically weigh it down. That definitely improves its resistance to strong winds. But actually, scratch that. This is really just considered a temporary fix. While it certainly helps, Ang quickly realized that a better, more permanent solution was needed. We need something that doesn't just rely on compensating for a fundamentally bad pot design by, filling it with heavy rocks.
Now, you might be wondering, well, why not just buy heavy glazed ceramic pots? Those certainly won't blow over. And you'd be right, but consider the metrics of cost, weights, and mobility. As Ang points out, glazed ceramic is incredibly expensive, plus it's exceptionally heavy. If you're an active gardener who needs to move your pots frequently, maybe you need to chase the sun across your patio, or quickly drag plants indoors during a freak weather event, that massive weight becomes a huge burden. Glazed ceramic simply isn't the silver bullet here. We absolutely need something lightweight enough to move, but stable enough to stand its ground against the wind.
Section 3. The Repurposed Hero. Which leads us to a true eureka moment. While out running daily errands, Ang noticed a plastic basin that had adequate height and a similar circumference to a normal pot, but with a much, much larger base. The brilliance here is all in that geometry. Instead of looking for a traditional pot, Ang observed how a standard household plastic water basin is shaped. A basin gives you the adequate height you need for a healthy root system, it has a similar circumference at the top for the plant to grow, but crucially, and this is the real game changer, it has a much wider footprint than a traditional flower pot. That larger base creates vastly superior wind resistance, naturally neutralizing the threat of those aggressive winds without adding the crushing, back-breaking weight of ceramic.
So, how can we actually implement this hack ourselves? It's super easy. Step 1. Procure a plastic basin with a large base. You know the ones, they're incredibly cheap, widely available, and super lightweight. Step 2. Add drainage holes. Obviously, a water basin is designed to hold water, right? So it isn't a viable flower pot until it actually drains. But this is easily done using a standard electric drill or even by carefully using a heated piece of metal to melt holes right through the bottom plastic. And just like that, the whole shebang is done. In 2 super simple steps, you completely transform a humble household item into a highly functional, virtually windproof alternative to the traditional flower pot. Which leaves us with this final, exciting thought. What other everyday household items could be repurposed to solve your biggest gardening headaches? Ang solved a massive, destructive weather problem not by throwing tons of money at expensive, specialized gardening gear, but simply by observing the geometry of a basic water basin and adapting it. It's brilliant. I want you to take this exact mindset into your own gardens. Look around your house today. What else can be completely transformed? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep innovating, and I'll catch you next time.